Hi, Alton Gansky here. Thank you for joining me for another Typewriter Tuesday. Welcome to my little library. Today I'm going to introduce you to a Smith Corona Enterprise. That's right, it's a typewriter that's going to go where no other typewriter has gone before. All right, enough of the bad jokes. This typewriter is a bit of a mystery to me. I've just added it to my collection. I stumbled upon it just the other day, and it really impressed me. Began to do my research, and I found out I just can't find much information on it. So maybe you know some things that I don't, and you can help me out. Let me show you what I mean. I'll introduce you to the typewriter and explain what my questions are, and then we can go from there. Again, I'm Alton Gansky. This is Typewriter Tuesday. Stay with me.
It's Typewriter Tuesday. Let's journey into the past to see what writers of old used to use to ply their trade. What kind of mechanical beauty does Al have for us this week?
All right, here we are back in the library, and I want to introduce you to this rather stunning portable typewriter made by Smith Corona. As you can see its name there, it's the Enterprise typewriter, and it is a beauty. It's in matte finish in a deep forest green. Extra points for those of you that can tell me what Simon and Garfunkel's song that is from. It has this lovely green to it. It almost glistens under light. Has this wonderful white trim that is on the platen knobs and also on the keyboard. You can see the Smith Corona. So this is well after the 1925 merger of L.C. Smith with Corona. Like most typewriters of this age, there's going to be a scuff mark or two here. And it has all the usual things you'd expect for a typewriter. So there's really nothing spectacular about its mechanics. And that's really one of the interesting things here. As late as this is a very basic typewriter. We have a tab key, as you can see. And that's all well and good. But there is no tab setting or tab release. To do that, we have to run to the very back of the typewriter, flip this open, stand up, look down the back of the typewriter, and you can see a scale there, and you can see the little tab stops that you put in. This one came with two. I don't know if there were more in the original, but there's two of those. So in a sense, it's quite old, at least in its choices. It just doesn't offer a great deal of extra stuff that you might expect by this time. Also, what is interesting are these white keys, and these are fairly new to Smith Corona. They have the little teardrop shape, but the fact that they're white, Smith Coronas use other colors, primarily green and the like, but these were fairly new to them, especially in this year. They hadn't been around very long. First year that Smith Corona used that was 1959. So if this is truly a 1960 or 61, then it's only been around for a couple of years. And of course, they coordinated it on the name. It's the beautiful sort of teardrop shape keys that would become associated with Smith Corona and later typewriters. It's really just a very good-looking typewriter, though as I've said, there's really not a lot of bells and whistles to it. It is a good typer. It's been cleaned. I've done some surface cleaning on it, and it works quite well. You can see the platen has been well used. Does have the roller. Of course, you'd expect that by late 1950s and early 1960s. Margins are easy to get to, margin settings. So it has all the things you need in a typewriter, line setting with single, double, and triple spacing, and all of that works quite well. Okay, so what's the problem then? Well, part of it is the body style. This body style technically went out from Smith Corona. It was just no longer used several years before this typewriter came into being. It's probably 2 or 3 years past that date when it officially ended. Now what Corona did, and then became Smith Corona, what they did is made several body styles, one which is very, very popular, and it's called the Speed Line, all the way down in a very gentle curve. It's the one that most people associate with Smith Corona typewriters. Beautiful machine. But that passed from the scene back in 1948. That was the end of the speed line. Officially, though, it does appear a few times after that. This body style came along, this Super 5 body style, and it stays on for about a decade. And the Super 5 ends in 1959. Well, the best I can tell, this typewriter is 1960 at the earliest, 1961 probably, based on what information I can get. So it seems to be a carryover. Now that's not all that unusual, because I'm sure that they had in warehouses body styles that they wanted to continue to use, not just throw them away, and so they would reintroduce things. So this typewriter comes along, and it's an absolute beauty. They do it in this nice matte finish, as I've mentioned, and it's in a deep forest green. It is just really a pleasure to look at, but you cannot find many of them. When I began to do research on this, one of the things I did is I went to eBay to see how many others are out there for sale, and I found one, and it wasn't as in good a condition as this one is. And that's kind of unusual, because they've made so many typewriters, especially Smith Corona, millions of typewriters. You would think that there would be many more for sale. Seldom do you find a model of typewriter where there's only one other that you could get through, say, eBay. Now, they are out there. I have seen them on a couple other places, but they're very, very rare. And it seems to be elusive, as several typewriter experts have described it, the elusive enterprise. And I can understand why. You normally expect to see all kinds of information. This one does not have much information. Now, as I said, it doesn't have any bells and whistles. There's no number 1, as you can see. It does have a tab key, but I've already showed you have to hand set those. So there's no keyboard setting or releasing of tabs. But still, it is a great little typer. Now, the question is, why isn't there more information on this? Typewriter Database, which is an excellent source online to track down the age of a typewriter, which I may have already mentioned, has just one listing and only one particular typewriter in its galleys for the Enterprise model. When you look at any of the other Smith Coronas, well, there's dozens of examples of a particular model. Well, there's only one there for this. When you search the net for that, occasionally you'll come across one in this green, and then I think there's also another color that it was made in. But even those are just difficult to find. You'll find a reference or two, but that's it. Now, the point is, I can't find any other information about the typewriter. So maybe you know better than I do. Maybe you have better connections, but I don't find it in any of my books or my internet research. It is a bit of a mystery to me. I love the little thing. Would like to have more information on it. I'm not going to go through and list everything that it has, because it is just a basic typewriter. And if you followed any of our other videos, then you know all the different things that these typewriters have. The mystery, of course, is why would we have, after this body style has been put out to pasture, do we see more of these, even though not many of them? Do they reappear? Why is that? I don't know. But I'm going to put out a theory. Don't teach this as typewriter doctrine, because I don't know that it's a fact, but here's what I suspect. And in my thinking, I like to divide my knowledge into that which I know to be true, that which I suspect to be true, and that which I don't have a clue about. Well, I suspect what may be happening in this, and also with other models that supposedly have passed from the scene but then reappear as new typewriters, is that when you go from one body style, primary body style like this one, that you're going to have stuff left over that you might want to use. And what was happening at the same year that they were getting rid of this body style, they were switching to the Galaxy body style. Now, you may have heard of Smith Corona Galaxy portable typewriters, such as the Galaxy 12. That's Galaxy with an IE, Galaxie, not a Y. The Galaxy 12 and other Galaxy typewriters that would come along. And it's very different. It's square in the front. It's more angular. A little bit later, it would have a little kind of protrusion from, let's call it the hood. It's the ribbon cover, but it kind of looks like a hood on a car. On some, you can pull it forward and it slides over the keyboard. all of those things. So it's making a big change in its body style, but maybe they wanted to keep some of these out there and at very least use what they already have. So they painted a different color. They made it look as sexy as possible and as attractive as possible, and then put it back out there on the market. And I, for one, am glad they did. I would just like to be able to verify my suspicions. So if you have any information on the Smith Corona Enterprise, if you have one sitting around the house, perhaps post a photo. Just whatever information you might have, I would be glad to have it. But I wanted to share it with you because I know you're typewriter enthusiasts. So there it is, the Smith Corona Enterprise. This is Alton Gansky, altongansky.com. Thank you for being with me. Visit us also at YouTube, which is youtube.com/altongansky, and see the other things that we are doing there. So once again, happy typing.